Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1-ounce 39mm coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and thank you and welcome to the Mo Today series on Black Muslim businesses. I want to give out a quick note before we continue with our program. I just sent our guest her event link, but let me just say this to you guys. Thank you for your continued support of the renovation and restoration of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, also known as Sajdah House, located at 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue here in the great city of Chicago. You know, as emerging markets are developed and history is being made, not everyone understands the importance of personal involvement like many of you do. Projects like this are often shadow boycotted, mocked, and really ignored. But change doesn't just happen. As Muslims, we don't believe in a spook God. We don't stand around and wait for someone to do for us what we can do for ourselves. We understand that freedom ain't free, and historic preservation requires that we all get involved. It's easy to complain about our forgotten history, but if we don't preserve our history, who will? The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is quoted as saying, "Don't withhold your good just because another withholds his good. You do your part." Our event last Friday at the Silver Room was successful. We enjoyed a lot of support, especially support of congressmen and even the mayor herself, but we didn't meet our financial goal. I have less than 20% of the renovation work to complete, and I still need your help. It's not too late to become a part of history. It's not too late to do your part, and it's not too late to do more. You can financially support this effort by making a donation and or purchasing a commemorative Elijah coin. To purchase a commemorative Elijah coin, just visit sajdahhouse.com. To make a donation, visit sajdahhousedonations.com. In addition, I humbly ask that you spread the word to other like-minded, pioneering people who understand the importance of this type of work and desire to be a part of this sacred effort. We don't need everybody to support. We just need those who understand the importance of doing their part like you do. So follow the project on Instagram at Sajdah House. We may be shadow banned, so be sure to like the page and turn on your notifications so that you're alerted when comments are made. Make sure when posts are made, I was going to say, and make a comment at the end of each post so that you're alerted as well. And please join our mailing list by texting DO4SELF, that's DO the number 4 SELF, to 855-574-9099. That's so we can communicate with you outside of social media. And thank you for your continued prayers and blessings. I am grateful beyond words. May Allah continue to bless you. I wish you more goodness than you've ever experienced or imagined. So we're going to continue on and get ready for our show. We're going to be talking about the business of Black beauty. That's really what we're talking about here. So give us a few minutes. Check out these commercials that we're going to show you and a little informational on one of my heroines in business, but who is also a Black hair care pioneer, Miss Annie Malone. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself.
Yes,
So the challenge is an education that enlivens us to do business. Business is the activity of life itself. Every creature is born with the inherent ability to attract out of this material earth what it needs to perpetuate its species.
So, as I mentioned, welcome to the Mo Today series on Black Muslim businesses. You all may have heard me talk about how this is really an emerging market. It's a market that I see it like the gold rush or the market that started the dot-com boom, or even, let me take that comment off my face, huh? Or even the market that started the dot-com boom. But it's always markets. What's interesting, I won't say always, but we are as Black people really always at the vanguard of a lot of these emerging markets. And the Black hair care market is one of those such markets. One of my personal business and entrepreneurial heroes is Miss Annie Malone. And Miss Annie Malone is and is recorded as the very first Black self-made millionaire in the United States of America. And she really is to be commended. The things that she did, the number of employees that she had, the number of people that she made, the number of other millionaires like the Madam C.J. Walkers that she helped to train and make is really, really, really trailblazing to me. Excuse me. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. My guest has not yet joined us. I'm going to show this video, and then I'm going to resend her email to her and see if she's still going to join us today. And if she doesn't, that's okay. We'll get her again the following week. I think we may have been a little late in sending out the notices to her after she accepted to join the show, but that's okay. So we're gonna talk about, though, this beauty of this business of Black hair care. It's a 2.51 billion. It's not the business of Black hair care. It's the business of Black beauty, and it's a $2.51 billion industry that we own less than 10% of the market. But there's becoming a trend where we're now kind of going back full circle. In the days of the Annie Malones, we had our own products and we had our own services. I see my sister is ready to join. So we're going to talk about this real quick, but then we're going to show a video. But I just wanted to say how the industry is going full circle. Because back in the days of the Annie Malones and the Madam C.J. Walkers, we created our own hair care products. And we were in charge of our own hair care and our own beauty. And it was really born out of our need. Women who, through slavery, didn't have access to soap and who didn't have access to certain products and services to make themselves feel beautiful. And so an industry was popped up, an industry was created. But from that industry, these beautiful Black female entrepreneurs created training. They stepped up and supported the rights, the civil rights and the human rights in their communities. They started adoption agencies. They did all this incredible stuff from the beautification of themselves. So I want to show a quick 2 or 3 minute video on one of my heroes. Annie Malone. And then we're going to come back and talk to my sister, Sister Cheri Muhammad, and just talk about what her journey has been in cosmetology. But I really want you guys to get an idea of how impactful this industry, in fact, really is. So with that, check out this video.
I'm Jody Stowell from the Missouri Historical Society, and this is your STL History Minute. The country's first African-American female millionaire made her riches right here in St. Louis. Annie Malone created hair products for black women that did not use harsh chemicals. Malone moved to St. Louis in 1902. She sold her products at the World's Fair and through door-to-door demonstrations. In 1918, she established Poro College, a cosmetology school that would eventually employ 75,000 women. Malone was a generous philanthropist, giving sizable donations to historically black colleges. She also encouraged the community to use Poro as a gathering place. It served as a rescue shelter for many African-American St. Louisans during a 1927 tornado. A divorce took much of her riches, and she eventually moved to Chicago. But her impact can still be felt today through the Annie Malone Children and Family Service Center, formerly the St. Louis Colored Orphans Home, which she led from 1919 to 1943.
I think what's interesting about that video, because it said that a divorce took much of her riches and she moved to Chicago, but that wasn't the end of her story. The divorce took much of her riches and she came here and became a real estate mogul. She owned blocks of property in Chicago along King Drive and continued her philanthropy. So the divorce took a lot of her riches, some of which she gained back, but she never stopped her mission. So I'm going to bring on my sister, Sister Cheri Muhammad. I'm excited to talk to her today because she is blazing a trail as a cosmetologist, as a person who is in the beauty industry, and as part of this emerging market as Black Muslim businesses, as somebody that I believe you all should know. Welcome, Sister Cheri. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. I cannot hear.
Oh, no? Is your mute on? So my sister is working on, okay, she's going to go out and come back in. And in the meanwhile, we're going to just chat a little bit about this industry. But going back to understanding when you're a part of an emerging market, what happens most of the time is for us, we are all part of an educational system that has encouraged us to mimic what is already out there. So oftentimes we don't understand the importance of new markets, emerging markets, of blazing a trail, because we just haven't been trained to recognize it, and we haven't been trained to see those emerging markets. But in the case of many of us who are going into business for ourselves, we can't just stop at doing for self. We have to go beyond doing for self and offer much needed goods and services into our communities and create other missions and other platforms so that our bottom line extends beyond just making a profit. And so this is why a lot of times we miss out on a lot of these emerging markets and a lot of this big stuff, is because we really have been trained to leave ourselves out of it and to just not participate. So I see my sister is back. We're going to bring her in. Can you hear me okay, Sister Cheri? Oh no, and now we can't hear you. What is going on? Okay. Nope, we can't hear you. You're not muted on my end. I'm assuming you might be muted on your end somehow. Let's see. Can you hear now? Yeah, we can't hear you. Oh, man. That's okay. We can look. This is live TV. I see you muted. Now you're unmuted. She's going to come back. She's going to come back in. Anyway, I want to go more into that conversation that I was having about how we go to school and we're trained. And the idea is that we're trained to get a good job and we're trained to work somewhere and make a certain amount of money. What's starting to even happen now is that we graduate from college and that good job that we were promised throughout our entire educational career doesn't come to us. And so we find ourselves in a position where we are not getting those jobs. We got master's degrees. We're working at fast food restaurants. We got doctorate degrees. We're working in positions that are beneath us. And even as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, we oftentimes aren't given the same accolades and the same support and the same respect that our counterparts who don't look like us, who are also in that same position. So most of the time, even as a CEO, and as a top level entrepreneur, you're probably doing tasks and doing things that you probably wouldn't have to do if you weren't Black in business. And so we make a lot of sacrifices. And so that's why I say this is an emerging market, just like hair care was an emerging market for Annie Malone and for Madam CJ Walker and people like that. They started the industry, but they didn't come from that educational background where they were geared to look for a job. So they started off, all of them, doing hair and then expanded into other products. So let's see if the third time is the charm for my sister.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, praise be to Allah.
And we got the yellow thing going. We in sync. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
Scoot over here. How are you, sis?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Made it in, and I apologize if you were late getting the link. But you know, we do what we do. We're entrepreneurs. We MGT. We make it happen. So,
yes, ma'am.
Tell us about your business, Locked On. Your hair is beautiful.
Thank you. So Locked On was my baby, of course, but Locked On is a business that I created to take care of people's natural hair, specifically locks. Interlocks has been a passion of mine. I started doing locks because I had sister locks previously, and I always experienced a lot of shedding, postpartum shedding after children.
Okay.
And after my fifth child, I had my sister locks established about 5 months prior to having shedding, but all of my edge lines shedded out really bad. It really looked like I was receding, maybe about an inch going backwards. And in the sister lock community, having extensions or any type of enhancements like that is taboo. So nobody wanted to work on it or could fix it. It was just a suggestion that I wait until it growed out. But it didn't look good to me, especially when Sister Locks was what I desired because of the grid pattern establishment, the neatness and so forth of the interlocking. And so I tried to figure out a way to extend them so that it would blend in as my hair grew back with everything else, because it looked like I had an afro for about 1.5 inches, like here, as all that hair grew back in. I was very self-conscious about it. So that took me into the desire to be part of this industry. I began YouTubing and trying to figure out how to create extensions, and I did, and I extended, my hair. So after I extended my hair and my loctician saw what I did, she had questions about it. There were other people that were aware of what I did at work or at our martial arts dojo. And from there, I just kind of created a name for myself, and I ended up going into business for myself in 2019, the end of 2019. As far as this business. Prior to that, I was in business doing lash extensions and other things, but I really didn't have a passion for it. So I wasn't successful.
So you found your niche that was born out of your own need. And how many people from wearing weaves and things like that end up with that breakage around the edges? Tell me how you fixed that. You said you extended your own hair. You had the little afro in the front. How did you fix that?
So actually, I deal with that all the time. Unfortunately, that's become part of the Black American culture. So many of my clients, my lady clients, are transitioning from wearing wigs, wearing the braids that are too tight, different so-called protective styles, but that actually are causing too much tension and break their hair off. Right now, it seems to be a popular thing to say that, I have alopecia, when realistically, it's not alopecia, it is alopecia, but it's caused from tension. And typically, with the proper hair care regimen and then putting your hair in an actual natural style, which in my situation, I offer lock services, different type of lock services. it allows the hair follicles to grow back. We do different type of treatments as far as hot oil treatments, specific essential oils that we use, massaging techniques and things of that nature. But the majority of my lady clients come to me to receive extension services so that they can help to hide those different balding spots or the areas where their hair has been pulled from wearing the weaves, or like I said, the tension from braids and other styles.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. You are part of what I keep saying to people all the time, this new emerging market of natural hair care and just us getting back to ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What tell me about the trend towards natural hair care, and what are some of the reasons that women are going back to natural hair care? Is it consciousness? Or is it maintenance? Is it breakage? Because natural hair takes a lot to work with as well. You don't just decide, okay, I'm just going natural and I don't do anything to my hair.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are wanting to go into the natural hair care because of the consciousness. I think that we are in an era now where there's more information. People aren't afraid anymore. As we know, we're part of the Joshua generation now. So there are things that previously weren't acceptable that now are acceptable, and people aren't afraid to be the natural selves. But I do think as well that when you go into natural hair care, as you said, it's still a lot of maintenance because you see a lot of YouTube videos, you see the TV models, the natural hair care models, and majority of people don't have a consistent curl pattern, don't have a consistent texture as far as throughout their hair. So it's difficult to achieve these looks that are presented to us. It takes a lot of training of your hair and still,
They're weaves.
huh?
A lot of times they're weaves.
Yeah, I found that out too.
Mhm.
After, yeah, when I was trying to figure things out with my own hair, I'm like, okay, this isn't working. But yeah, I found that out as well. So then I think that women, still desiring to be natural as they're gaining more information about the chemicals, the relaxers, and what it's doing to us, that they then want to go into locks. A lot of locticians, or I'll say some locticians, are specialized in a specific size.
Mhm.
Many people don't want to do them as small as I do, which is a 1.5, 2 millimeter, things of that
Yeah.
nature. So for me, being that I'm able to offer all of the various of sizes, I can present that to my clientele and to my audience, to give them different options, but ultimately to achieve what it is that they desire with going into natural hair care. Locks in particular, it allows you to maintain a certain look, a certain style without as much maintenance as having your hair loose, but you still have natural hair. Some of us that have natural hair, we still get our hair pressed. It's the heat treatment that damages some people's hair, some people it doesn't. With leaving your hair just in a natural state and you're not manipulating it with some form of locks, your hair flourishes. But specifically for those of us who have experienced the so-called alopecia or the thinning or balding areas, the majority of my clients, their hair grows back.
Mhm.
And so what we're able to do is it grows back, and it's at least to a certain point, a certain length. We're able to attach an extension, make it to blend in, and allow the women to feel more comfortable, and beautiful within their own skin.
Mhm. You must have a passion for helping people feel better about themselves.
Yes, ma'am, I do. And I really struggled with that when I came into the business because I wasn't sure if me being in this industry was vague or if it was really, helping.
Yeah.
And so I initially I didn't move as comfortably as I could. I wasn't as confident because I had to realize that, yeah, what I am doing is essentially helping somebody to feel better about themselves, more confident. And this allows them to have a happier, healthier lifestyle because they're more confident being themselves.
Mhm.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
city are you in, sis?
I'm sorry.
What city are you in?
Right now, I'm in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, born and raised, but I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina last year.
Okay.
And I'll be going back to Charlotte shortly.
So is that where the shop is in Charlotte?
I actually have a shop in both locations. So I have someone that I was blessed to be able to train that is here full time in Chicago. We're actually in Hazel Crest, Illinois. She maintains our clients, hers and mine, when I'm not here, but I typically travel back to Chicago no longer than 10 weeks. So between 6 to 10 weeks, I come back for a couple of days to take care of my existing clientele that's here. But my primary residence and the primary salon is in Charlotte.
So you're already expanding with what you're doing. I can see it being your passion because when you experienced that yourself, you created a pattern, you saw an opening in the market and you walked right into it because you were already a cosmetologist, right? Tell us about that history.
Yeah, so initially, I started doing lash extensions. I knew that I wanted to do something. I really actually initially had a passion with microblading. So for, most of us women that are getting our eyebrows shaded, or we're drawing them in every day, and they came out with this, well, they didn't come out with, but it became popular here in North America, to have the permanent eyebrow, but where it looks like hair strokes. And I was so fascinated with that because for somebody like myself, I have thick eyebrows here. The ends of my eyebrows are very thin. So I decided to start looking into that. And my sister had found a class where there was a woman who was offering the services for free if you would be a model in her training class. So I decided I wanted to go to that. And when I went, I was very pleased with the results. However, wanted to do for self, thinking about community, Black community, being an MGT, being in the nation. I was sitting in a room where there were these Asian women, and the instructor was one, and she had 13 women that she was training. All 13 of these women, some of them couldn't speak English, but they were all being trained to offer this service, which starts off at around $500. And it was astonishing to me. It was humbling to me. I was, a little upset, but I also realized that this is how these other cultures are able, mothers, active mothers, lucratively, be active wives, be in their homes, their base, lucratively. Take one client a day. It's a 3-hour service. Somebody pays you $500. That's all, and you can do that once a day. And you're still able to be at home. So being there really opened my eyes to what I'd already found that I had a passion for, which was, doing locks, because I had done my own at that time. From that, I decided to enter into cosmetology school because I decided that this is what I wanted to get into and I wanted to do that. Started cosmetology school. I was still working full time. At that time, I have 5 children. I now have 8. And I was married, and it was just difficult to maintain all of these different things and to be successful in everything. So in cosmetology school, I realized that I needed a license to be able to do microblading, and as well, I was doing lash extensions, and it fell under a cosmetology or esthetician license. But I didn't really want that whole full spectrum of cosmetology school. I know I didn't want to process anybody's hair chemically. I didn't want to do anything like that. And as I said, schedule-wise, it just wasn't beneficial for me. So I decided that I was going to go to esthetician school. This schedule was a little bit more lax and lenient, and I could kind of, build the schedule around my schedule being work and home. Still in esthetician school, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to get into all the chemicals because I don't believe in all of that. Like my regimen for skincare and things is simple. So I just did full clientele of lashes. And if some of my previous lash clients are watching, especially some of my fellow MGT in Chicago, I know you know, I absolutely loved my clientele, but I did not enjoy doing lash extensions. And there were several times where I just stopped. Like I quit work doing lash extensions, and then I decided that lash extensions wasn't for me because I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't have a passion for it. So I would just, abruptly let my clientele know, hey, in 2 weeks, I'm not offering the service anymore. And then I would go back to work. So I decided I wasn't going to complete the esthetician school anymore. Didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy doing lash extensions. So I kept messing around.
Was pulling you in a certain direction. And that's a beautiful thing, because when you have a passion and other things start to fall off, you're like, I can't even do this anymore. I don't even really like this. That's a beautiful place to be in, because then it's almost like Allah gives you one option, like go this direction.
Absolutely, clarity. And I was praying to Allah for it, praying for clarity, trying to figure out what I should do. I really, at that time, did not have trust in myself. I didn't have good trust in myself or foundation as far as that was concerned. I was really looking outwardly for somebody to validate me and validate my gifts. Although I was still praying, for clarity and what to do. And so it wasn't until a year later, I was working at Cook County, the jail, and I was working in administration. At this time, I was about 6 months pregnant with my twins, my last 2. And I going into labor early. They stopped the labor. I went into labor again around 7.5 months. And at this point, I was dilated 6 centimeters. They couldn't stop the labor. So I had the babies. After my maternity leave, I returned to work only to find out that my schedule changed. My schedule was 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they changed my schedule from that to 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm like, there's no way. At this point, I was single. You know, I had 8 children. I just had the newborn babies. It was just no way that I could make that schedule work. During the maternity leave, I had really started messing around with the extensions. I started making extensions because in my mind, I was going to make extensions at home and I was going to sell them to locticians. And that was what I had got into. So when I started making the extensions, I had people asking me to install them because the method that I was installing them with is a crochet method, which was not popular. Most locticians in Chicago at that time were offering a wrap method, which doesn't look very natural. It produces the look of a faux lock, basically. So the method that I was creating these extensions with, I had a lot of people, like I said, that were actually reaching out to me from my advertisements trying to sell these extensions for me to install the service. So I went with it. And I installed first on a cousin, and then I used her as advertisement. And I had more people reaching out to me, but I didn't really get into it because I knew I was returning from maternity leave. So when I found out a week before I was to return to work that my schedule was changed 12 to 8, I was reaching out to personnel, the directors, everybody I could, trying to get this schedule shifted because in my mind, I was about to work for the government. This was, government job. I was going to have a pension, all this crap. And I'm like, this is just simple, 7 to 3. I can work, whatever. And not that it's crap because it was a good position. So I thought until they changed it. But for my lifestyle, the way that things were, it was limiting for what I needed.
Couldn't do it. You got your children, you got your business, and Allah was trying to, which He ended up doing, give you something where you could do for self. And look at you, you got 2 salons.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's big, Sister Cheri. Have you stopped to think about what that means?
Yes, ma'am. I want to cry on air, but yes, ma'am.
Now, tell me what that means, because I tell people all the time that doing for self is such a spiritual journey. And this is why I believe that we are such a beautiful emerging market, because we are the people who just out of our desire for change through our prayer, obviously the instructions of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to get up and do for self, but it's not easy. And when you just kind of fall down on that prayer rug and say, Allah help me, because you really want to do this. And in a lot of cases, we have to do it. We have no choice. Yep. And I'm listening to you, sis, and you're really inspiring me because you said, I had just had newborn twins. I have 8 children. I'm trying to manage this by myself. And then look at you now today. You have 2 salons. You're on the front end of a wave of natural hair care, of locks, of just a different way of beautifying, of Black women beautifying themselves. Just stop for a minute and tell me what that means to you.
It means a lot because, I had a lot of people that were in my ear saying, different negative things, of course, and would talk to me about how, I was single with 8 children. What, you can't do that. You can't step out into business for yourself. You can't do these things. And I remember one night, and at this point, because when I had this whole plan when I was pregnant with the twins that, this time I was going to do a water birth. I was going to do this. I was going to do all of this stuff. And I was going to carry them to term. And so when I didn't, and I had to have emergency C-section and everything because one of the babies would breach, and this just totally took me off course of what I thought. But again, man plans and Allah's plans, and Allah is the best of planner. And I had to keep on saying this over and over again in my head. Allah's the best of planner. This is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But I was in such a state of shock that I think I was just an autopilot. Like, as I look at that now, so where I would have normally been breaking down and very emotional about things, I didn't have time and I couldn't. So when I returned to work, that was another thing that it was like, what am I going to do? But, Allah will work it out because it's nothing else that can be done. There's nothing else that I can do. So I had to just submit to that. having the clients lined up, still fearful, not having confidence in myself. I just went with it. And I remember that one day when I was talking to certain family members and friends at that time, and eventually, those people were removed from my environment because they didn't serve a purpose where I was going. But I remember playing back in my head that Sister Naima, when she was in MGT class one Saturday in Chicago, she had said to us that you don't allow people to defecate in your ear, and she went on with this spiel. And I thought about that, and I thought about how that was negatively impacting my spirit, my energy, what I was taking into my mind, my subconscious thoughts. As I was auditing at that time, I also had begun taking Reiki sessions with Sister Rachel in Chicago. All of these things were just so heavily present for me. But again, like I said, I was working like on autopilot. I wasn't very emotional about things. And I remember that I had just taken a manifestation course with Sis Naira. And I just, I said in prayer, I was demanding to Allah, came in person, the Master Prophet Muhammad, like you promised us the homes, friendships, you promised us abundance. I know that that is my birthright. And I said that, Allah, I'm demanding that of you now. Please allow me to walk into that. And I said my prayer. I wrote down my different manifestations and my affirmations in a journal. I made a vision board. And my vision board, I said I was demanding that of the universe, of the energy. And I was praying to Allah to provide that to me. And in doing that and saying to Allah, I'm trying, I'm consistent, I'm a mom, these things, whatever, things slowly started to open up for me. And I think that those things and that energy was present. It was just the fact that I didn't believe in myself. So, really being an autopilot, I feel like for the first year, because recently I've had this conversation with my oldest son that will soon be 17. And, I'm in a position now where I'm working to get a home, to purchase my own house. And I had to sit back and tell him, like, I remember struggling, almost about to be evicted, even while married. And to now be present and be in a position where Allah has blessed me to be able to be able to take care of my children, myself, and to be in a position where, things are getting better and growing. I've been blessed to train other Black women, other single mothers. The woman that works for me in Chicago, Gabby, she's a single mom, and her life financially has changed. But, our relationship, things that I've been able to assist her with, I've been able to be impactful. Praise be to Allah, but absolutely because of the teachings and the way that's transformed my life for me to exist. So I can't really put it into words how it feels other than just
put it into words beautifully. You are an inspiration. You're a heroine. I don't know if you feel like that or not, but you're an inspiration. There's so many sisters out there who are striving, and you hung in there, you dug deep. I love Sister Naima's words about not allowing people to defecate in your ear, because oftentimes sometimes people mean well, in their effort to protect us. Sometimes they'll defecate in our ear because they want us to do what they think is safe.
Yes.
But they don't know that Allah got us.
Yes, ma'am.
And oftentimes as women, especially sometimes as Muslim women, there's sometimes stigma around being single, whether we're divorced or whether we just haven't found that person yet. There's stigma around it. And so you get all of this defecation on you of people thinking, well, you should do this. And, oh, I got somebody for you and all of that. And it really sometimes is difficult to navigate through that and just say, you know what? I'm not going to be down on myself. I'm not going to nitpick myself and be insecure about myself. I'm just going to allow Allah to flow and send me what he desires. And that's why I say you are a hero and you are an inspiration, because you have done that and you are doing it. And I thank you for doing what you've done and being that example.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So tell us let's put on the screen, where can people reach out to you if they need to get their hair done?
On Instagram, it is LOC, LOC_DON_. So LOC_Don_. There is an option there to hit contact, and it will give you phone number and email address. But you can also reach me at Cheri, CHERI.lockdown@gmail.com. And then I also have an Etsy store for people that are just interested in purchasing different extensions, which you can also search Locked On as well.
Okay, got it. Lock, is it still lock_Dawn?
On Instagram,
Etsy.
on Etsy, it's just Locked On.
Okay, got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, listen. Anything else you want to share about your services? I think you've shown us your heart. You've shown us your love, your dedication, your inspiration, and I think you've demonstrated hope for people that this is something that Allah does want us to do. It's a tough thing because we deal with this hypocrisy when it comes to money as spiritual people. And it's not just Muslims, it's not just Christians. I say spiritual people because spiritual people have a real hypocrisy when it comes to money. We say, okay, money don't grow on trees and money is the root of all evil and blah, 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 blah. And we say how we hate money, but we get up every day hoping and praying and going to work for money. So I have this saying where I say money hates hypocrites. We have to have a good relationship with money and use money as a tool. You have children, you have a family, you've gone through the vicissitudes of life. And you want money to have choices, to be able to do those things in your life that maybe you would have been restricted in doing had you not had money. You have children, you're single, you don't have money, then you have to do what somebody else tells you to do or what somebody else wants you to do. When you learn to respect money and you learn to have a good relationship with money and not be hypocritical, and really at the end of the day, understand that money gives us options, it gives us choices. It's okay to have money. It's okay to want money. It's okay to want and have a lot of money and not make any excuses about it. And don't tie the insecurities that you have within yourself to your ability to make money because you need that money. Freedom ain't free. Yes. And this lifestyle that we live is an expensive lifestyle. It's very expensive. And it's important that we understand how to allow money to flow through our life and be okay with that money. And so I'm just saying that to you. You may feel insecure about certain things. You may feel like certain things in your life are not textbook. They're not cookie cutter, but that's okay. Because Allah is writing new books and developing new people every single day. And so what you're doing and allowing him to flow through you and to show the world who you are, I think is miraculous. I commend you. I thank you for being that example. And I just want to encourage you to keep pushing, keep striving. So proud of you. You got 2 coast to coast. You got a Midwest office and an East Coast office. You about to get you a West Coast office and a office. So one last thing I just want to ask you, because I always want to try to kind of debunk myths. A lot of people think that as Muslim women, we don't get our hair done and that we're not into beauty and that we wear scarves and hats and headpieces to cover up like nappy-headed, undone hair. So tell the world how beautiful we are as Muslim women. And just because we cover our hair does not necessarily mean that we're not beautiful underneath and that we're not into hair care.
Absolutely not. I mean, a majority of sisters have hair flowing down their back. You just may never know it. Very much into hair care. I think that some of us at times may, of course, some of us use the ability to cover our hair to get away with not having necessarily.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a quick funny story. Sister Ra'afa, who used to work in the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's home when he was among us, tells this funny story of how when the sisters would come to the home for dinner, they didn't know that they had to rest their scarves. And a lot of times their hair wasn't done underneath. So she had to take them in the bathroom and she kept like barrettes and little things in their pins to fix their hair up. And I thought that was so funny. And then somebody else told me, Rafa didn't say this, but somebody else who reiterated that story. So one day the messenger said, I don't want no sister that got to come up out of that bathroom, because he knew they was going in there to get their hair together. But so just a funny story, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, so that, but I think that a lot of us, we definitely are very much into naturalness as best as possible. So keeping our natural hair is important to us. And plus, they don't have natural hair, but keeping ourselves as beautiful as possible. That's part of what we believe. To strive and try to keep ourselves well. We can't be good to anybody else if we're not good for ourselves. And I know that that's a constant struggle for some of us, finding the time to provide self-care. That's also something, of course, that we were taught and working on. But I think that it's a luxury, but it's also something that's necessary. And as I said, some of us struggle with it. I know I did, especially with motherhood and trying to find the time. But after I started taking care of myself, I'm like, I like this and I like me, and it was what I didn't realize before. So it's extremely important. And it absolutely is something that we do as MGT period. We want to look good as best as we can, we want to look good.
I have this saying, sis, where I say to people that I strive to be beautiful from head to toe. And I love being an MGT and having permission to be my beautiful self. And so across the board, whether it's how I treat the skin on my body, how I treat my hair, how I treat my feet, everything is all about exuding that beauty and asking Allah to just bring his beautiful self out through us. And I would say to anybody watching, you have not seen beauty until you've seen the Muslim women in the MGT and GCC class.
Yes, ma'am. We have a standard. We have a standard to uphold. Yes, ma'am.
We do. So thank you, sis. Thank you. I will make sure everybody goes to Locked On. If you want to post something, tag me on it at Mode Today Universe or at Black Muslim Businesses. We'll try to repost it. Do everything we can to help drive additional traffic to your business. I want to congratulate you and thank you on the beautiful example that you've been just to our sisters and to women in general.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today.
And thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you all for tuning in to the Mode Today series on Black Muslim business. That was my sister, Cheri Muhammad from Locked On. I have put her information up here previously. She's on Etsy as well. You can check her out at Locked On. And I want to applaud her. I'm so grateful for her and what it is that she's doing. Please follow her. If you're interested in converting your hair to natural, if you wear natural hair, make sure that you go and see our sister. And she will help you get that thing together. So, all right. Thank you all who have been supporting us with the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Go to sajdahhousedonations.com to make your donation. It is not too late. Make sure you like and subscribe to this page and join my mailing list. Do for Self. That's all you have to do is text Do for Self, DO the number 4 SELF to 855-955. Wait a minute. What is it? Hold on. Let me get it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. Do for Self, DO the number 4 SELF to 855-574-9099. Just pop right back in my mind. All right, peace and blessings, family. Make sure you support, make sure you donate, stay close, turn on your alerts on social media so that you know when we post, because we are likely shadow banned, and don't allow people to shadow boycott our incredible pioneering projects. All right, so peace and blessings. And we're going to go out with a commercial.